movies, anime, to form works of art. Notably, and quite perfectly fitting in that mold of greatness, are animes like Weathering with You, Your Name, Silent Voice, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Mugen Train, and most perfectly, the Studio Ghibli selection. Studio Ghibli is renowned as the best, most nostalgic and amazing anime studio, leaving many who watch any of their movies crying or smiling. The movies and the roster are all quite well known, and personally, I love my experiences with their older movies like Kiki's Delivery Service and My Neighbor Totoro, making all of my memories of the studio quite fond. I watched The Tale of Princess Kaguya a few years after its release, and the first time I did, I was completely blown away. From the art and the music as well as the ending, leaving me just a pile of depressed and shock. It really made me love the deep and meaningful story, which is actually based on a Japanese myth, the tale of the bamboo cutter, which in essence is the same, showing how dedicated Studio Ghibli was to create an animated movie on the myth, rather than to form its own story based on the myth, and I just love that. Of course, Joe Hisaishi directed the movie musically, which allowed the movie to hit with emotional scenes or add to mundane living scenes a flair of drama and beauty in a way that I found lifted the entire movie as a whole, as well as adding silence, leaving only the characters there, filling it with realism, and certain scores recurring but changing ever so slightly to show how Kaguya grows and or acts at certain times of the movie. The actual movie itself follows the Japanese myth of the bamboo cutter, and as I said in the beginning, it does follow to a T correctly, using that story to allow the studio to then use their own knowledge and deep appreciation of the myth for their own creativity to be pronounced in it. However, the story itself is actually the oldest monogatari, which essentially is a tale or a narrative, which hands the name to Kaguya Hime no Monogatari. The story of Kaguya Hime dates back to the 10th century, but the oldest manuscripts date back to the 16th century. The movie covers a range of emotions, playing on how a person's vulnerabilities make them weak, allowing for conformity, overshadowing true identity and freedom. Shown when Kaguya was forced to be placed in a formal, restrictive position, battling her own urge to explore nature, and simply put, experience freedom. The weakness that the bamboo cutter shows is greed, pushing Kaguya further and further until she's placed into a state of pain. Finally knowing who she is, and as the bamboo cutter readies the defense for the celestials of the moon, it finally unveils the truth, displaying you push someone away only for your selfish desires, limiting their right for their choice of life. You ultimately end up losing them. The ending of the movie was so deep and it was so harsh. I had watched the movie because I saw it on a review and it said it was so good, but the ending just left me in tears, making me feel the emotions that the characters did at the end of the film. The directors of the movie worked so hard for all the details, music, design, and art, specifically choosing this art style to, as the producer and main director of the film says, use the power of pictures to reach people. The budget of the movie in total was around £48 million, however, leaving it to be a box office failure since it was only grossed at about £26 million worldwide. However, ever since then, people from my anime list and IMDb rated quite highly at 8, and being my personal second favorite movie of all time, the movie actually won a few awards, but the first one that it did win was the 68th Mainichi Film Awards. I'm sorry, I'm not Japanese speaking, so. Studio Ghibli was able to create a piece of art and a deep, emotive movie. And even for those who hate sad endings or unresolved endings, they will love the feels that they would get from this movie, allowing me, myself, to rate it 9.4. It had drama, it had calm, tranquil moments, and it had moments that aggravated me, and scenes which just were blissfully beautiful. The movie contrasted and echoed songs to develop and age the movie with progression until it came to a sad but perfect end. This movie from Ghibli may be my favorite, but I do want to know yours. So, as always, thank you for tuning in to Anime Radio. And, please tune in for our next videos. And that's all. So, thank you and goodbye.